What's up, gang? Welcome back to Pretty Girl Gang TV, where we do nothing but conduct pretty girl business. Okay, it's your girl Janina here, and I'm back with some baby hairs in another video. As you guys can see, my face is already halfway put together, and we are going to finish the rest of the steps with a new face palette from Morphe. This is the 8D Deep Glam Complexion Pro Face Palette. Okay, Morphe actually came out with 5, or I believe 6 of these new face palettes, girl. So if you want to see how this face palette performs, if you were wondering, like I was wondering, girl, if this face palette is worth the coin, keep on watching. So a little deets on this face palette before we just dive in, girl. Okay, you guys know I like to give you the tea on all the products. So this face palette was $24. Morphe did come out with like 5, or I believe 6 different face palettes. I did purchase this face palette on morphe.com. I am not sure if it's in Ulta stores or if you can purchase it on ulta.com, but I purchased mine from morphe.com. I'm gonna read the back of the palette just so you guys can know what Morphe describes it as. It says, 8 shades for your complexion obsession. Turn your looks into the next level with the palette that features a matte brightener, a matte contour, 2 bronzers, 2 blush, and 2 totally lit highlighter formulas. Each shade is a part for deep to very deep skin tones. Okay, that sounds like fun. For $24, you get all of that. That sounds really, really good to me, girl, and that's one of the reasons why I did purchase this face palette. I also want to mention that there were 2 face palettes that could have worked for me, which were 8R, which I believe stood for rich, and then this one, 8D, which stood for deep. I picked the 8D, and let me tell you why I did that. Now, I did notice in these Morphe palettes that it already included shades that Morphe has already made for like bronzers and blushes and stuff like that. So if you already own a Morphe bronzer or a Morphe blush, chances are they're gonna be in this palette. In the 8R palette, the palette that I was originally gonna choose, I noticed that the 2 bronzers in the palette were bronzers that I already owned, which were the color Leader and the color Phenom. If you guys watched my Morphe Glamour Bronze review, I did review the color Phenom and the color Leader. I purchased both of those for $19 on their own, and I did notice that they were in that 8R palette, so that's what kind of prevented me from purchasing that shade of a palette. And in this palette, the 2 bronzers that come in this palette are Supreme and Prodigy. So I say this to you because if you already own some Morphe Glamour Bronze bronzes, or if you even have some shades in Morphe's highlighters or in Morphe's blushes, I would check the palette that you want to go with to see if you have any of those shades first, because I'm pretty sure Morphe just put all like different shades that they already own to make these face palettes. So it could be a good thing and a bad thing. I thought of it as kind of a good thing because now I get to try the other 2 shades of bronzers, because I feel like all of the bronzers were really, really good, and if you know they're too dark, I can also use them for contour. But I felt like it was good for me because now I have 2 extra bronzers, like I said, that I can use as a contour if I wanted to. I'm a makeup junkie, so I like to have all kinds of different colors, all kinds of different bronzers for different reasons, girl. So I can definitely use the extra bronzer. So that's why I went with the face palette that I went with, girl. I personally just didn't want to repurchase the 2 colors that I already had. I wanted to try something new. I wanted to try something fresh, different, girl. So that is why I chose the palette that I chose. This is how the 8D face palette looks outside of the box there. Typical sleek Morphe black packaging. And opening her up, ooh, it does have like a huge gigantic mirror. I don't want to blind you guys with it. And it does come with a cover with the names on it here. So I will show you guys a shot of the palette first, and then we'll go over the names and some swatches, yeah? So that's how she's looking. And for the brightener, we have Party Starter. For the bronzer, we have Supreme. For the second bronzer, we have Prodigy. For the contour shade, we have So Epic. And oh my God, the contour shade looks so dark and beautiful, girl. I can't wait to dig into that. For one of the blushes, we have Fury. The other blush, we have Queen. The first highlighter we have Outrageous, and the second highlighter we have Heartthrob. My first impressions of this palette, I did expect the pan sizes to be a little bigger. Let me show you guys again the pans in this face palette here. I did expect for the pan sizes to be a little bit bigger. Maybe on Trend Mood's page when I first saw this palette, I figured the pan size was a little bit bigger, but I'm happy. I mean, for $24, you're getting a brightener, you're getting 2 bronzers, a contour, 2 blushes, and 2 highlighters, girl. That's pretty good, okay? And when it comes to traveling, that is just bomb, so you don't have to carry a whole bunch of things. Because let me tell you something, girl. As soon as Miss Rona dies down, I am catching the first flight, and I'm about to be traveling from coast to coast eating scrambled eggs and toast, okay? So I think it's an actual good thing. I think this is a good palette. So let's do some swatches, shall we? The first swatch here I have is the brightener, and that is Party Starter. The second swatch I have here is the first bronzer, and that first bronzer is Supreme, and that's Supreme right there. And I will swatch Prodigy, I guess, right here. And the contour shade is So Epic, and I'll swatch that one right here. On my other hand, I'm going to swatch one of the blushes, the first blushes. It's called Fury. So there's the first blush, Fury, there. The next blush I'm going to swatch is Queen, and I'll swatch Queen there. The first highlighter I'm dipping to is called Outrageous, so I will swatch Outrageous right here. And then I'm dipping into the second highlighter and the last shade in the pan, which is called Heartthrob, and I will swatch Heartthrob right here. So now that I look a mess and I'm all swatched up, girl, we got the swatches out of the way, let's get into this palette and do our makeup, okay? Looking at the swatches, how are you guys feeling about the swatches, okay? I feel like the highlighters are completely blinding, and I'm in love with the blushes. I will say that I'm a little bit concerned about the brightener, because the brightener kind of looked like it was my shade and just like a little bit on the orange side. I typically go for brighteners that are more of a banana, a lighter yellow color like I have underneath my eyes now. So I don't think I'm going to mess with the brightener. We'll just leave that alone for now. The first thing I am going to dig into though is the contour shade, which is the color So Epic. So let's contour our face with that first. So I'm just gonna dip into it like a little bit, because look at that, girl. You know Morphe is super pigmented, okay? So we gonna be careful. We gonna tap out the excess, and we're gonna be really careful because we know Morphe is so pigmented, okay? And this color is really, really dark. So I'm going to contour. I thought it was gonna be a little dark for me, but it looks like it's okay. Okay guys, so this is how the contour is looking so far. I had a really, really easy time blending it out. It's very blendable. It's very nice. I feel like it's a very nice contour. It's very, very deep, which is great because it can work for like the deepest, darkest shade brown girls, girl. So I really like that. So I feel like it's turning out to be really good. So let's go ahead and pick out a bronzer now. I think I'm going to use, it's either Supreme or Prodigy. So I'll show you guys again. Supreme or Prodigy there. I think I'm going to pick Supreme just because Prodigy is a little dark for me. Like I said, I did pick the deepest face palette and I should have went with the 8R, but I already have the bronzers in the 8R palette. So I think I want to just go ahead and go with Supreme. So we'll dip into that. Ooh, very pigmented. So let's be careful, girl. Let's be careful. Okay, so Supreme is giving me a little red tint to it. Very warm. And this is why I like just having different colors of bronzer and different color of makeup, because you can just literally use it for anything. Like I can use this also for eyeshadow if I want. But as a bronzer, it seems to be fine. I love the color, you guys. The color is just, ooh, it's so warm. I'm really feeling the bronzer so far. Now let's choose a blush. Now I think I'm going to go with, the more plum blush, and that is the color Queen. So I'm gonna go with this one right here, and that is Queen. Ooh. Oh, girl, she's super pigmented, girl. We gotta be careful. Morphe do not be playing with the pigment, okay? That's one thing about Morphe. She does not play with the pigments. So I'm definitely feeling the blush, you guys. I'm definitely feeling the blush. The blush looks really, really nice. Now let's choose a highlighter. Let me show you guys the highlighters again. So we have Courageous and then Heartthrob there. Now, I typically don't go for really crazy color highlighters, okay? Normally I'm like a peach, I'm like a gold, I'm like a silver. I do occasionally use like a green or a purple highlighter, girl, because I do have some Fenty Beauty highlighters. And you know Fenty Beauty has all the different color highlighters. But I typically don't use highlighters of this color, so I'm a little nervous, but just for the purpose of showing this face palette, I am gonna go with the more plummy one, and that one is the Outrageous color. Let me swatch it on my fingers so you guys can see. See, that is really, really blinding. That can almost be like a blush topper. I feel like we can use this as a blush topper as well. And you can also use it on your eyes because this is a face palette. Let's not forget, face palette you can do anything with, okay? So we will try it as a highlighter. So let's see. Oh, okay. So it's a little bit more subtle than I thought it would be. Okay. So, I mean, it's a little bit more subtle than I thought it would be. It's not so loud, maybe because my brush isn't picking up so much. But I would probably use this as a blush topper instead of a highlighter. So let's do the other side. What are you guys seeing on camera? I can definitely see it in the mirror, but it's not as blinding as it came off of my finger than it is on my face. I feel like my face, it's a little bit more duller, but that's okay because I don't think I would typically use this as a highlighter, like just to be using it as a highlighter, girl. So this is how my face is looking, girl, so far. Let me put on my lashes and I will come back to you guys with my final thoughts, okay? I'm not gonna lie, I really, really like my face. I really like how my face looks. I really like how the makeup looks. Like this Complexion Pro palette from Morphe is definitely a hit, okay? In my professional makeup opinion, girl, I feel like it was totally worth the $24. It came with 2 bronzers, a contour shade, a brightener, 2 blushes, 2 highlighters. I mean, totally worth $24. Each and everything performed perfect. The only thing we didn't try was the brightener because obviously when I swatched the brightener, it didn't look like it would have been a brightener on me. Like I said, I tend to like more of a bright yellow banana bright for my under eye as a brightener and all the places I like to brighten up. So we didn't use the brightener, but I do feel like I could use the brightener for an all over face powder, which makes this Pro palette super duper convenient because like I said, if you're gonna travel like me, girl, as soon as Miss Rona let up, I am definitely gonna travel. Instead of me stacking all of my bronzers and all my brighteners and all my blushes, I literally just have one palette to choose from, which is perfect, okay? Saves a lot of space, saves you a lot of time if you travel, okay? My only gripe about this face palette would be the highlighters. I wish Morphe would have chose maybe a more wearable highlighter, but who am I, girl? Who am I? Who am I to say wearable? Because, you know, everybody perceives makeup as a personal choice. If somebody wants to wear like a shade like, you know, a bright pink or a bright yellow highlighter, like who am I to say it's not wearable? It's just not wearable for me. I normally wouldn't wear like a really crazy highlight shade like that. I would probably prefer those highlights as a blush topper or even on my eyes. But I do feel like the highlighter was a little bit subtle on my face than it was on my finger. If you guys remember when I swatched it, it was like blinding on my finger, and it really got me kind of nervous until I put it on my face, and it's not that blinding on my face, which means that I can use it as a blush topper, which I would prefer it as, which is okay with me. I also feel like if you want to try other bronzer shades like I did, go ahead and pick up the palette, because each Glamour bronzer shade was $19. And if you were to pick up this palette, you can actually have 2 of the Glamour bronze shades just to try. So that could be a thing too. Like I said, I didn't pick up the 8R palette because it already had my 2 Glamour bronze shades that I already purchased, and that's the reason why I picked the 8D palette. So if you're like me and you just want to try some more bronzers, you can go ahead and do that, because for $24 you're getting 2 bronzers. So I also thought that was a really good deal as well. Anyway guys, that's my video. If you guys like this video, smash that like button, comment down below, subscribe to my channel, girl, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye bye.